We are coming off a wild several months when it comes to the intersection of pop culture and sports. I have to say, I have a newfound interest in football too because of Taylor Swift. I am a Swiftie. I won't consider myself a huge fan, but she definitely did pique my football interest, if that makes sense.
She definitely did perk my interest as well. I mean, there's talk about the Taylor phenomenon of, the past 6 months or so. She went to her first Chiefs game back in September. And think about how far we have come over the past 5 or 6 months leading up to the Super Bowl this past Sunday, and how much media attention there's been. And how many times we've seen her in one of those suites watching the Taylor or the Kansas City Chiefs games. It's just been insane. And we thought we would sort of break down the phenomenon that is Taylor Swift, the impact that she's had on the game, and, maybe did she have any sort of outcome or influence on the outcome this past weekend? I don't know. So go ahead.
I was going to say influence on the outcome, definitely up for debate. But yeah, her stardom, I would say, is undeniable. Here we have Abby, our friend from Seattle Refined, with us. But Abby, not only are you such a big, crucial part of Seattle Refined, you're also the ultimate Swiftie. I saw you in your Reputation era at the Eras tour, and I thought you'd be the perfect person to include on this conversation. So thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me. It's my favorite subject ever. I could talk about Taylor forever. So thank you for having me.
Taylor for president, isn't that what you say?
She is my president personally. So.
Abby, it's good to have you with us. So first, let's sort of break down, I guess, since you watched the game, just some of your main bullet points from Sunday. What were sort of your big three takeaways?
I definitely haven't sat through a full football game in I don't know how long. And so I wouldn't say, I don't know necessarily if it was because of Taylor Swift, but I definitely was there rooting for the Chiefs because of her. But I would say the first half was definitely very slow. I was losing interest, but then towards the end there, I was on the edge of my seat, hoping for the Chiefs to win. So I don't know, it was all around exciting when it got towards the end. But yeah, for a little bit there, I was a little sleepy.
Yeah, I think Taylor Swift was also pretty stressed out at the end. She was biting her nails. She brought her friends with her, Ice Spice, Blake Lively. Mm-hmm. With you watching Taylor Swift, just not only in Super Bowl, but throughout the season, what were some of the things that surprised you about her?
I just loved really seeing her kind of in her element, having fun. I think she's such a hard worker, and she's always on tour or writing an album or kind of hiding away because of all of the media attention that she gets and the hate and the love and all of that. I bet it's a lot. And so I think what's been so fun for me as a fan is that seeing her just living her life, sipping on a cocktail, laughing with people, not really caring about anything else. I think that was the most fun for me because she deserves it. So
I was just thinking back to the week that she's had, right? Starting with the Grammys and how crazy of a time that was. Going over to Japan to do these 4 sold-out shows over there, then flying back to Las Vegas so she could go to the Super Bowl. Oh, by the way, she's also launching a brand new album as well. It's that's just within a week.
I mean, who had a better week as a couple than these two? Yeah. I mean, Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift on cloud 9 right now. I can't believe it.
Think back to, and we were talking before we brought you in, Abby, about, she first attended a Chiefs game, her first Chiefs game just back in September. So just about 6 months ago. Thinking back to that first appearance that we saw her at one of the games and the hype was starting to, filter around the country of, is there something between her and Travis Kelce that's brewing? Take us through some of your initial thoughts when that first started to break into the limelight.
I initially wasn't sure if this was a hard launch or their first date. That was where I was confused. I was okay, I get that she's there. I had followed that he, had the friendship bracelet. He wanted to get her number. He's had a long time crush on her. So I was a little oh my gosh, did they just hard launch their first date? That's pretty intense. But to find out in her interview, I can't remember what magazine it was with, but she was we were together for several months. I think that was the most interesting thing to me. But I loved that they just kind of went all out and she was there, supporting him, and he flew, to the Eras tour and was supporting her. And I love to see them both doing that so publicly and not really caring about what other people think.
Yeah. They definitely have made themselves a power couple, both taking home hardware in one week, the Lombardi Trophy and several Grammy Awards. At the beginning, when we weren't sure if they were like an official item. And then they were like, oh, they are an official item. Swiftie fans flocked to the internet. Who is Travis Kelce? What number is he? What position does he play? Were you a part of that initial Swiftie group, or did you already know? Like, did you have some football knowledge?
No, I definitely was aware of him. I really think I didn't really care as much until this. So like I had heard his name. I knew he was a football player. I knew of the Chiefs, obviously, but I think, I mean, honestly, like Taylor and Travis being together, I started like listening to Jason and Travis's podcast and kind of getting to know them more as like players and people. Not just Taylor Swift's boyfriend. And so
it's a good podcast too, by the way, right?
Yeah. And I really do like love them as a family. I think like their mom is so sweet, and like Jason's wife is so cool. And like the fact that he's such a good uncle to like their kids, I just think that's a really sweet dynamic. And I would have never known that if Taylor Swift had never came into the picture, honestly.
Did you think, over this past 6 months, and initially thinking back when this first started, did you think it would come into what we're seeing today with how crazy it is between both of them?
No, I did not. I love it. I really do. I think this is probably one of my favorite relationships she's been in. Like I said, like earlier, everything's always been so secretive and like kept away. And when you're with somebody, I think you really want to like show that off and like show your support and your love for that person. And it's been like so fun to see that with both of them, how they just are really like leaning into it. And I've really never seen that from her before.
Well, just speaking go ahead.
No, yeah.
It is interesting to see her so public with her relationship. We haven't seen it this public before when it comes to her, and I just hope it lasts and that he doesn't turn into one of her like breakup songs for sure. But speaking of her influence on him and his stardom too, some data that just came out, speaking of the Super Bowl, searches for Travis Kelce jersey went up over 2,000%. I think she has the ability to really turn anyone to a star. Kind of what's your take on that?
I mean, I think anything she touches kind of turns to gold like that, which is insane to think of her impact as just being one person. I think it's great for him and the Chiefs. I mean, that's the best free publicity you could probably ever get. And I don't know. I think that's probably a big reason why a lot of people like come with so much hate for it. If they really have a lot of hate for the Chiefs, they're not going to like that attention and all of that, attention that they're getting. So I don't know. I love it. I think it's great. I think, it's a win-win for him. He's got a great girlfriend and now he's got a lot more of attention, but I really don't personally think that was ever the intention. I think a lot of people are like, oh, this is just for publicity. I'm like, do you really think that the biggest pop star in the world and one of the biggest football players right now needs any more attention? Like, I just don't see that being a thing.
I was one of those people. I remember when this first started coming out, I was like, this is some type of PR stunt here. That's what I initially thought that we were going to see down the line, that this was going to be a new album, a new tour that she was promoting, that sort of thing. And I stand corrected all these months later. It's like, no, there's a real relationship there that was developing. And I think just sort of looking at how they respond to each other publicly. I mean, obviously we saw the big kiss on Sunday down on the field after the big, winning of the Super Bowl. There's a lot of love there, and they obviously have an equal appreciation for each other and what they've built in this very short time frame.
Yeah, I definitely think that, PR relationships and celebrity pop culture are definitely a thing. I have had my speculations of a few of hers in the past, but it's so different than a pap walk or going for like a public ice cream date or just something really mundane that like you're just like, okay, why are you just like out in public like that? Like she's just going full like at it, like in that suite, like having a good time. Like they're just so public with it. I feel like you can't fake that chemistry. And that's why I'm like, from the get-go, I was like, this is not PR, like in my opinion. Yeah.
With his mom too. Like she's got a relationship with Miss Donna Kelce. What is your response to some of those conspiracy theories, conspiracy theorists, people who are like, oh, well, Taylor Swift won his good luck charms. That's why they're winning all the games. But also, oh, the Super Bowl is rigged. It must be Taylor Swift paying off the NFL or something. She was caught on camera like talking to Roger Goodell, the NFL commissioner, and there were all these comments like, "Oh, she's probably promising him billions of dollars to take the Chiefs to the Super. I don't know. It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. Your take?
It's ridiculous. I'm like, if the Chiefs lose, she's a curse. If they win, it's rigged. I'm like, you just can't win here. And I'm like, if you think that the biggest pop star in the world right now is going to spend her energy and time on rigging the NFL, I think you need to just like go touch some grass. I don't know. Like, that's just the thing.
Go touch some grass.
The one thing that I thought about too throughout the season is, I think one thing that the NFL has tried to do and really come up with some ways is how do you bring in that female viewership? Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking back to, the impact that she might have had on exposing women and girls to the league just in general. I mean, there were some more stats that came out saying, from the first 3 weeks of Sunday Night Football showed a 53% spike in female teen viewers. And then overall throughout the season, a 9% uptick of women who have been watching. And you have to think that this exposure with Taylor Swift might have had some part or some role in that.
Definitely. I mean, I've seen it all over. Obviously, my algorithm on all social media is like majority Taylor Swift content. And what I've been seeing from everyone that like I come across with is like, they're buying jerseys, they're going to games, like they're paying attention, they're wanting to learn. I think Travis and Jason's podcast, they do a segment where like, or at least in the beginning, where Swifties were like tweeting to them, asking them, what is this? What's a first down? Like, what are these things? Like they actually would want to know, and they would answer those questions. And I think there's like a genuine curiosity and interest now. And if Taylor Swift being there led to that, I think that's something to be celebrated, especially because, if they have partners or family members who are really into football and that was never something they could bond on, I think that's something really special that maybe now a lot of these couples or families have that shared interest. And I think that should be celebrated.
And Arc Seattle, Tyrah and I had an expert on from Google just this week, sort of talking about some of the big questions that people were asking on Google when they were watching the Super Bowl. And that was some of the key questions that we were seeing is, what's the first down? How many quarters are there in football? That sort of thing. You have to think that's maybe some of those newer viewers who might have been exposed and brought into the game from Taylor Swift who are trying to learn more about this NFL phenomenon.
Yeah. I love seeing the videos there's been like a few TikToks I've seen of like dads who are saying, I've never been able to really bond with my daughter, especially about football. Like it's been a tough thing. And like now they want to watch football with them and like they can teach them about that. And they have also a genuine interest in Taylor Swift. And I think that's also a really sweet thing is that it's not just daughters or women or whoever being interested in NFL football. It's also other people also learning about Taylor Swift and why it's so important to their daughters or family members. And so I think that shared interest is just amazing.
And another thing about Taylor, and I haven't personally met her. Let me know if you have, Abby.
I wish. I think I would actually pass out. So maybe I don't want to meet her.
I would say her fans know her so well. And even in hearing some of her interviews or looking at some of her social media posts, like it doesn't seem like she craves that attention. Like people were complaining throughout the season about how the NFL was showing her so much on TV. And at one point she was caught on camera saying, please go away. Like, stop putting the attention on me. I'm just here to support my man. I think it just shows that she is a humble person and the haters are going to hate. And it's kind of a proven thing.
You can't please everyone ever. Like, and I think no one knows that better than her. I mean, we know that in our industry, like people are going to hate or be mad at something. And so I think she's just living her life. And I mean, I think I've seen stats where it's like in a 3.5 hour football game, she's maybe shown for like 24 to 40 seconds. Like if you're really that mad, I think you need to like dig deep internally and think, why am I so angry about this? Because I don't think it's really Taylor Swift. I think there's something else there, but I think she's really just there to support him. I think you can see that in the way that she acts and reacts and how much fun she's having. And so I don't know, but yeah, you're right. Haters are going to hate no matter what.
I was kind of surprised by some of the stats that came out from just the Super Bowl on Sunday about, thinking how much exposure is Taylor going to have during the Super Bowl. Think about it being, a broadcast that was at least 4 hours and 20 minutes long. And she was only shown apparently for about 53 seconds. So not very much. I was surprised by that stat. I was thinking it was going to be a lot more.
I wanted more. So the entire time I was probably the only one in the living room who was like, I need to see Taylor. I need to see Taylor. But every time she came on, I was stoked. I love seeing her. So I would have loved more, but
Yeah.
I'll see what I can get.
She was only shown 12 times. And I say only because I don't think that's much. And the 12 times, I think combined was like 53 or 55 seconds. So I think the fans definitely were complaining a little bit too much throughout the season. The NFL fans, that is. We've been talking about the impact that she's made on young girls. It's actually from ABC News from earlier today. But the NFL has been promoting girls as a whole when it comes to flag football and releasing pink jerseys with number 13 on it. It seems like they've completely embraced it.
And I think that's really cool. I think that the fans should maybe jump on that train because, I mean, they're rolling with it. Again, it's the best publicity they can get, free publicity, if that, you know. So I think it's really cool, and I think we should see more of it. And it's, again, something I think that should be celebrated, not hated on ever. So
I just sort of think the league sees this as an opportunity, right? You have some pieces that have come together with a major superstar, global superstar, who's obviously brought a lot of attention just because of who she is and what she's accomplished in her music career. Who's dating a very high-profile player who happens to play on a Super Bowl championship team, and they're seeing this as an opportunity to bring more male fans, but especially more female fans into the game, whether it's adult or even young girls, get them interested in playing flag football or tackle football and take it from there.
Yeah, when opportunity like that comes, you gotta take it and roll with it. So I totally understand where they would come from with that. I would do the same thing if I was in their position. So
another story that kind of piqued my interest throughout this entire Taylor Swift NFL craze was 49ers wife Kristen Jusek. She designed a jacket, a Chiefs custom jacket for Taylor Swift with Travis's number on it, number 87. And after that, of course, everybody wants to wear what Taylor Swift is wearing. They want that same jacket. Kristen landed an NFL licensing deal with the NFL, which is going to allow the opportunity for her to mass produce those jackets, so everyone can hopefully get one at an affordable price. Can you speak on Taylor's like style influence? And you went to the Eras Tour, and everybody dressed like her, right?
Yeah, I think the Eras Tour was so fun in that regard because the different eras all have different vibes and colors and themes, and to take that and run with it and make it your own, it was probably one of my favorite things about the Eras Tour. And I actually get to go again in October. I'm going to New Orleans to go again. So I get to do a whole new era, which I'm excited about. But when it comes to those jackets, I think that's so cool because also, I don't know if you guys saw, but her husband's an NFL player. I don't know his name, but he was like under every single post, like, that's my girlfriend, or that's my wife, that's my wife. And I thought that was so sweet. But going back to the Taylor Swift thing, it's when she wears something, it's like everything she touches turns to gold. And I think last night I saw like she was wearing an 87 necklace. And I don't know the exact stat, but that the Google searches for a Taylor Swift necklace like popped off. So wow. I don't know. Her impact is insane. It's really crazy when you really think about it, how one person can have that much impact.
And just got to say, those jackets are pretty darn cool. I would want one of those myself.
I don't even really, like, football is not a huge part of my life. Like, I don't really think I have anything football, but I want one of those jackets. They're just really, really cool.
Tyrah and I were sort of talking about, now that, the football season has come to an end, what's next? Obviously she has an album that's coming out, going off of all this hype of the past week and has the tour and that sort of thing. I'm sure there's going to be some rumblings about she should be the halftime performer next year during the Super Bowl, that sort of thing. But what comes next, and what do we think, the impact is going to be going forward in the months ahead?
Yeah, I think I'm most excited to see like their relationship kind of progress, and for people to see like, oh, it wasn't just for publicity, it wasn't just for football. Like, now that it's over, I'm pretty sure it's going to stay the same. But yeah, she has an album coming out in April. I'm very excited about that. And then the big speculation right now is when she's going to drop Reputation, Taylor's version. I mean, that's been pretty crazy. So I feel like people are really, really waiting on that one, even though we have a new album coming out. But she never sleeps and never stops. So as a Swiftie, it's a full-time job to pay attention and keep up with what she's doing. So I have no idea what's next because she always seems to surprise me.
Yeah, she's been re-recording all those albums. I think that girl needs a nap, for real. Hopefully she's sleeping.
I really don't. I don't think she's
Probably
sleeping. I'm
not.
like, when would you sleep? So she leaves the
She's a
studio at 3
superhuman.
a.m. every day. So I'm like, you are not sleeping.
Oh my goodness. It's absolutely incredible what she has done, the impact that she has made. And if she's just a Super Bowl halftime show, if she does that next year, that's going to be pretty phenomenal.
I can just see that story if the Chiefs make it into the Super Bowl again next year and, you know, they're still together as a couple, she ends up being the halftime show. Like the media hype surrounding all that will, I think, just take it up to a new level, I'm sure.
Power couple. Just a power
couple, for sure.
Would you like to see Travis propose to Taylor?
Honestly, I don't know. I'm like, I'd be like super jazzed for her, but I'm not like sitting at the edge of my seat waiting for that proposal. So I know there were people yesterday being like, if they win, he's going to propose. I'm like, I don't feel like he's that. I don't think he's going to do that. They've only been together a little bit. I'm like, I think you guys need to get a grip. But
I was going to say, it's been less than a year, right? Like,
less than a year. Yeah. So I'm like, I think you need to chill. I also don't know if she would like that. So, but no, I think it'll be exciting. I hope it happens for them. But yeah, no, I'm not like, it's not on like my bucket list to see that. So,
but Abby hopes to get invited to the wedding.
100%.
For sure. She might see this and send you an invite when it happens.
Well, I'm her hype girl, so I think I deserve it.
Abby, we will live vicariously through you if that happens. That would be amazing. Awesome. Well, let's end things up here. And overall, just describe what you think Taylor's impact has been these past 6 months.
I just think it's something to be celebrated. Like I've said this whole time, I think the way that it's bringing people together or creating a common shared interest and just how much fun it's been for the fans. You know, it may not be fun for everybody, but as a Swiftie, it's been a blast. I love seeing her in her element like that. So I'm excited for future football seasons. I hope it continues. And yeah, I'm just really happy for her.
Thanks for joining us, Abby.
Thanks for having me.